Hello, I'm Effie. I'm ITSM practice lead at the Adaptavist Group, managing directors at Nimaworks, which is an ITSM focused company of the group, providing professional services around service management. Thank you very much for the opportunity to sponsor this webinar. I really enjoyed all the talks so far and looking forward to the end, to the questions. So today I will talk about the challenges of ITSM in the financial services industry and the growing importance of providing robust IT services, while at the same time we try to decrease risk, we try to remain compliant, which is obviously mandatory in our highly regulated environment. Myself, I have a banking background, so I worked in IT in a number of banks for more than 8 years. Mainly in application management and with a focus on setting up subsidiaries around Europe. Following that, I have been involved in the ITSM consulting services for the last 10 years. So I have been exposed to many different industries, companies on different maturity levels in their ITSM journeys, and of course, different ITSM platforms and solutions. At Adaptavist, we are experts at delivering tailored solutions and quality services to companies around the world. And we have our 4 practices: ITSM, DevOps, Agile, and Cloud, around which we deliver these solutions. We work with large technology partners, such as Atlassian, with which we have a very close relationship, AWS, GitLab, Device42, and many others. And our customers include over half of the Fortune 500. So I will start with briefly referring to the most important challenges an IT department has in the financial organization. We will then discuss how regulations can work with ITSM frameworks, how this actually help us remain compliant. And then we will move on to discuss how a strong ITIL model with a well-designed CMDB can help a company to deliver security and compliance. It's a trending topic. We already discussed this in the previous talks. Some very good points came out of this, but we see it in general in the market. It's something that everyone is working right now on, and we will close with a case study based on a Bank of Cyprus, a client of ours. And if we have time at the end, I can take any questions. Otherwise, we can do that after the session. So let's start with the challenges. I believe that most of you here, of course, today already know these. In fact, some of these have been already discussed. Nevertheless, the majority of these challenges did not appear 10 years ago, or at least to the extent that concern us today. And we literally work to tackle these challenges daily. And this is what we hear from our clients and we see in the market. So starting with the tightly regulated environment in the sector, you need to constantly adapt to evolving regulations like Basel III, PSD2, GDPR, among others. And this, of course, means continuous review and change. Cybersecurity threats, given the sensitive nature of financial data, you are the prime targets of cyber attacks. So you need to protect against breaches, against phishing events and attempts and other cyber threats. Operational efficiency, with growing, you have more competition, especially in the fintech area. There's a push to improve without compromising, of course, service quality. And this also includes challenges in integrating new technologies and processes. Again, constant change is required, but without increasing risk. Customer expectations, it's a huge one. We live in the age of instant gratification, of course. Customers expect seamless 24/7 services, omnichannel services, actually. And they take this for granted. This is what they expect. Again, meeting these expectations fast while maintaining security and compliance is a challenge. Legacy systems, We see that a lot. We see that when we try to integrate tools with these systems, a lot of legacy systems in the banking industry, upgrading them, integrating them while ensuring data integrity and service continuity is of course challenging. And last, of course, global economic factors, recessions, geopolitical tensions we experience today, pandemics. These have significant impacts on what we do. We have to rapidly change our products, rapidly change our offerings. We have heavy reporting because of these global economic factors. So these challenges actually require us to be proactive, to be agile, to be adaptive, without sacrificing, of course, compliance and security. So the relationship between the regulatory landscape and ITSM is very significant. And here are some examples. You have regulators asking you for standardized, documented, repeatable processes. And of course, ITSM frameworks offer that, standardized IT processes through best practices, such as the ITIL framework that almost all of the financial institutions use today. Regulations like the GDPR, for example, they dictate us how we manage and protect personal data. So ITSM practices, especially those related to incident and problem management that we heard just now, these can ensure that we identify incidents, these are reported, they are resolved. And of course, problem management, we can identify the root cause behind repeatable incidents. Regulatory bodies also often require audit trails for specific transactions or processes. So ITSM tools, especially configuration management databases, on which we will talk about as we move on, these help maintain records of IT infrastructure changes and ensure traceability. A banking institution needs to have plans in order to ensure business continuity. So we have business continuity, we have these disaster recovery practices that help us towards this direction. And just as regulations are periodically updated, we have new regulations coming in, we have a lot of changes. We have the concept of continuous improvement in ITSM. And this ensures that actually IT operations remain aligned with the evolving regulatory landscape. And we will see also how CMDB plays a role on this. So using obviously an ITIL model and integrating processes with a centralized repository of information, such as CMDB, has a lot of benefits. It ensures that security best practices are applied across all assets, all applications, all configuration items that a CMDB has in an organization. So this means that we can identify vulnerabilities easier if we get an incident, for example. Enhanced compliance. A CMDB is should be an audit-ready repository. So we need to have a detailed IT environment audit in our CMDB. And this, of course, means that we need to have a very good design. We have to have a well-maintained CMDB in order to be able to provide necessary documentation at any point using our CMDB. And having a centralized source of truth, IT operations can also become more streamlined, more efficient. We can execute in a structured manner tasks that are repeatable, like patch management, software updates, and reduce errors. And understanding our assets, our configuration items, and their relationships, changes can be executed with fewer disruptions. And of course, we can, as we said, resolve incidents faster. And the accurate tracking of these assets, we can identify redundant or underutilized assets, leading to cost savings. This is from Gartner back in 2019. I'm wondering if it has changed, but this is what we see right now in the market. So we are approached by companies who have attempted to build the CMDB. Some of them have succeeded in capturing everything through discovery tools, through a lot of work, but they don't see the value, or they cannot actually maintain the CMDB. They cannot maintain the solution. And of course, CMDB is as good as its data. If these are not updated properly, the CMDB will become irrelevant very soon. So the question is, how do we make sure that our CMDB remains actually updated and the data that we have makes sense and provide useful information? And this is what we call actually the CMDB dilemma. So on the one hand, we want to manage CIs effectively. We want to automate this as far as we can through automatic discovery. But there are certain aspects like maintaining, for example, relationships between CIs, or updating specific attributes that require manual intervention. Not everything can be discovered. And yes, change management can help, but how do we achieve compliance and governance? And how can we request a change on a CI who can execute this change? And if we have, for example, a CMDB admin, or a team of CMDB admins, is this team a bottleneck for efficient CMDB maintenance? These are questions that come to us from the market and from our clients very often. So moving forward, I want to share the customer story of our client, Bank of Cyprus. So Bank of Cyprus is one of the oldest banks in South Europe. They operate in 6 countries. We have built together an ITIL 4-based service management solution. We have worked with them also on the enterprise service management side. We have various schemas in the solution, and of course, a CMDB that holds all services linked to several CIs, such as applications, along with infrastructure. So at that point in their journey, Bank of Cyprus had in their CMDB more than 100,000 objects, out of which around 700 applications. For each of these applications, they were maintaining 120 attributes. A lot of them are not discoverable and are maintained actually manually. So the problem was, how can we maintain our CMDB and have accuracy and have relevancy, and the knowledge for the applications and the attributes of these applications actually resided with the application owners. And for certain attributes, even business units, we had specific users coming from business units that were responsible for the update of these attributes. So Bank of Cyprus asked for a mechanism so that the CMDB applications can be maintained directly by the application owners and other roles based on an approval mechanism. So in a sense, the audit and verification process, which is mandatory for CMDB operation, had to be provided and executed not by a CMDB administrator or an ITSM manager, but by the person who truly holded the knowledge for that particular object. And imagine, for example, when we had a change in some regulation or a new regulation actually coming in, all the applications should be revised so that we can see that they adhere to this new regulation. Maybe some attributes needed to be updated. So this was a huge amount of work for a CMDB administrator to gather all this knowledge, get the approvals, and do the actual update on the CMDB. So in a sense, what we needed to do was to shift left So we needed to move tools and processes towards the actual people that hold the knowledge. And this was a form of self-service, leaving the ITSM solution admins to focus on other things and the CMDB administrators. So we created 4 distinct processes. We had a biannual recertification where a request for an application review was created automatically twice a year. And this was assigned automatically to the application owner based on the attributes, of course, that we had on the CI. We had an ad hoc recertification request that could be raised only by governance IT. And this had to do mainly with when we had regulation changes coming in and we had to review certain or even all the applications. A daily update request. This could be raised by application owners concerning only their own applications. And we also had a business attributes update request where we had specific business key users that could update specific attributes on objects, on configuration items. So in this way, we could actually control access. We were giving specific permissions to edit, and we made sure that every application was reviewed for compliance at least twice a year. And all these involving only the relevant stakeholders per CI. So here's how an update request actually is working. So for example, IT governance could go to the service desk portal. They could create a new CI update request. They could choose the CIs based on their role permissions. In this particular case, IT governance could choose any CI. And what they could do actually is that they could view the attributes and suggest updates on specific attributes. And the way that we did that is that we have a screen where we list all the attributes of the application. And next to that, again, we have all the attributes where the requester can go ahead and suggest updates. This is automatically assigned to the CI owner, in this case, the application owner. They can see the existing attributes and what is the proposal, and they can either decline, and of course they can collaborate on this ticket, so there can be exchange of comments, there can be attachments. So we actually use this ticket to work on the update of the specific CI, or they can at some point approve the update, and then the CMDB gets updated automatically without the need of CMDB administrator going in and do the actual change. So we manage in this way to have regulated access and review. We can have a change approval process only when required. In specific cases, we didn't have, for example, the approval of the CI owner if it was a trivial an attribute that didn't need an approval to be updated. We automate, of course, where feasible. And we have audit logging. So for every change on its configuration item, we have a complete history of who has requested what, who approved, and when the change actually happened. On the objects, on the configuration items, for example, here we have a sample applications. We maintain a revision date. Of course, this gets populated automatically. And in this way, we know where was the last time someone reviewed the object. And we use also this revision date to automatically raise requests for this recertification process twice a year. In this case, for Bank of Cyprus, we are using Jira Service Management as an ITSM platform, and the module that comes for CMDB with Jira Service Management. So this helped the bank to maintain a very complex CMDB We managed to minimize the risk. We managed to provide freedom to users to be responsible for the maintenance of their own CIs. And we have Mr. Kusis, the Executive Director in Technology and Operations statement. He actually said that now the CMDB can help us in decision making, and we actually are able to meet regulatory compliance standards because it is well maintained and it is relevant.